Hi, Gigi bought a new book. Flower Fairies, Magical Doors. Discover the doors to Fairyopolis. Let's read it. My name is Evie. When I moved to this village with my family last year, I soon made a best friend named Grace. Together we made some other friends too, secret friends. And now we're going to tell you about them. Okay, this is when it all begins. It began one evening when I was writing in my diary. I had the strangest feeling someone was watching me. My pencil rolled off the table, and as I reached down to pick it up, something shiny caught my eye. It was a tiny brass handle attached to a tiny small door. Oh my goodness. Look at the brass handle and the door. A little nervous, I slowly turned the handle. Inside, I discovered a staircase, and I think I saw a miniature foot disappearing up the stairs. Let's see if we can see it. Open the door very slowly. Look there goes that foot. We saw it too, didn't we? The next morning, the door was gone. My name is Grace. I'm Evie's best friend. I could hardly believe it when Evie told me about the door she'd found. We spent hours searching her house, but we couldn't find a single door. A few weeks later, I made an exciting discovery of my very own. I was walking home from school when I spotted something hidden in a flower bed. I bent down for a closer look and realized it was another door. I opened it excitedly. Inside was a real fairy. I must have frightened her, though, as she ran away to hide. Let's see. There's the door. And when she opens the door, what happens? The fairy hides. But look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, my. There was a tiny table set for afternoon tea. I wondered if the fairies would mind if I tasted a bit of the cake. I went to tell Evie, but when we came back, just like before, there was no sign of that door. Grace. Grace and I couldn't wait to find another door, so we decided to become fairy detectives. To our surprise, the next door appeared when we were playing in the park. I was leaning against a tree when I had that strange feeling of being watched again. I glanced down, and there was a key hidden in the flowers. Grace ran over, and we decided to unlock the door together. Inside, there was an incredible sight. A slide. We heard laughter and saw a giggling fairy whiz down that slide. Here we go. Let's see. There she goes. Where'd she go? Oh, there she is. Oh, my goodness. Afterwards, we talked for hours. Why were the fairies letting us see these magic doors? And why do they keep disappearing? Evie. I found the next door in my garden. The first thing I did was go and find Evie, and we opened this door together and saw a real fairy baby gurgling and cooing. I really wanted to pick that little baby up, but Evie said we shouldn't because fairies might not like it. Let's take a look and see what they saw. Let's open this door. Oh my goodness. Look at that sweet fairy baby in there. How precious. Oh my goodness. How precious. Laying there in the flowers, just cooing away. Let's shut the door real quick and close back the latch. It must be true because after the door, for days afterwards, Evie and I couldn't stop wondering where fairy babies came from. I read in the library book that flower fairy babies arrive whenever a new plant starts growing. And it must be true because after the door disappeared, a little shoot appeared nearby and it grew into a forget-me-not. And whenever I see it, I think of that lovely little baby. Grace. Grace and I have believed in fairies, have always believed in fairies, and now we're sure they exist. We were cycling along by the river one weekend when Grace pointed at the riverbank. There behind the overgrown grass was another door. Look at here, another door. We clambered off of our bikes and ran over to the door. Grace opened it and we gasped as an incredible throne appeared with a beautiful fairy sitting on it. We knew she was the fairy queen because of the royal crest on the door. She smiled at us, nodded, and then disappeared. Evie. Let's see if we see what they saw. Let's see. Here we go. We're going to open the fairy door. Where? Oh my goodness, there she is. There's the fairy queen. She's gone. By now, we had found 5 fairy doors and kept them secret. We had a feeling that the fairies only wanted the 2 of us to see into their world. But were the fairies watching us too? One day, Evie and I were walking in the woods when we stumbled upon a little door at the base of a tree. Inside was a mysterious cave lit up with tiny lanterns and fairy lights. As we watched in wonder, a pretty fairy appeared and began to collect glittering stones. Let's see if we see the same thing. Here's that door. Let's watch. Oh my goodness, I see it. Look at the glitter and the lights in the cave. Wow, how beautiful. Oh my goodness. We thought this must be a fairy treasure used by the fairies to make beautiful necklaces and bracelets. The fairy filled her bag, then left with her glittering treats. The door disappeared soon after, and we couldn't wait to find the next one, Grace. It wasn't long before we got our next glimpse. Grace and I were dressing up as fairies, and as I rummaged through my clothes, I discovered another door, right at the back of my very own wardrobe. Carefully opening the little door, we discovered a fairy dressing room. There were little clothes everywhere, and as I reached to touch one of the silky dresses, I saw a little fairy just behind it, busily sewing away. Let's see. Do you think we can see it? Let's see what she saw. Oh my goodness! Look! How beautiful! Little fairy dresses. There's the little fairy sewing. Oh my goodness! How beautiful! Carefully, there was little clothes everywhere. Grace whispered in my ear and pointed to a second fairy who was showing off one of the pretty dresses. She looked so beautiful, Evie. Last night was the most exciting night of my whole life. Evie and I were having a sleepover and we were woke by strange music. Look at this. Oh my goodness, what are we about to see? It was coming from the garden, so we crept downstairs, pulled on our coats and boots. We followed the sound of music through the garden to the wall at the end. As we got closer, the door suddenly sprang open, making us both jump. What did they see? Oh, look at all the fairies. I think it's a fairy party. Look at this. Look at them. They're having such a wonderful time in there. Oh my goodness. Having such a wonderful time. Look at the butterflies. A fairy ball. The fairies didn't seem a bit surprised to see us, and some even waved. We were mesmerized by the dancing fairies and the magical music. When we began to get sleepy, we went back to the house into our warm beds. We are the luckiest girls alive. And that's the end. Flower Fairies, Magical Doors. Trying to see if we have an author on here, and I do not see one in particular. Gigi's going to have to look that up and see if she can research it. It says Frederick Warren. Anyway, beautiful book. Lots of pretty pictures. I love you, ladies. Have a great day. Bye-bye.